Hello, hello, hello. Barry Nickel has made a comment, or he appears to be around, but anyway. Hello, folks. How you doing? I'm offended. I'm offended that you're offended, you know? That's my t-shirt. It's my girlfriend bought it for me. For my Christmas. You can check out the back of it. Can you see that? It's got my website. BillyWatson.tv. Aye. I've basically decided I was, theoretically keeping all my stuff under wraps and trying to get people to sign up for Patreon for $1 a month. Couldn't even get them to do that. And I was going to put all my stuff in the books. I'm still going to do that, but I'm just publishing it all on the website. Can't be fucked anymore. Basically, it's end times, isn't it? So better get my stuff out there. Hello, Mo. Good to see you again. How are you doing today? What have you been up to, Mo? Aye. You still going around shaking your head at the mask wearers? Aye. The old mask wearers fucking drive you crazy, eh? Basically, remain terrified, question nothing, stay home. That's what most people are living by these days. That's their motto. With their mask on, praying for their saviour. It's pretty bad out there. It's pretty bad. It's unbelievable. So anyway, if you would like to do some comments, anyone that's out there, then I'll figure out something to chat about. I'll try not to speak too Scottish. So let's start with a few things. Basically, I mentioned, hello Barry, how are you doing? Are you back from Cornwall? Back up in sunny Scotland? I mentioned on the BBC News, this I won't be able to read it very well, I don't think. So they talked about this thing, a promoter in Newcastle, right? Just this great guy in Newcastle has come up with a great way to ensure social distancing is maintained when you go to a gig, because we all want to go to a gig and be isolated at the gig, don't we? Because that would be a great atmosphere, Remember I said last night we used to go to the Edinburgh Playhouse and everybody piled in the front. It was fucking rock on, all bouncing together. That was part of the fun, wasn't it? All pogoing and boof and heavy metal gigs. I took my son to see, what they called, Slayer. And basically, I wasn't even too scared to join that mosh pit. I was a bit older. I've been in a few mosh pits in my time, But yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there, you can. But now there's acts like Supergrass and Maximo Park, whatever they're called. They're going to play a 2,500 capacity arena, but it's going to be converted to have 500 platforms. Aye, Stephen, I didn't know you were there, but when I listened to your music on Bandcamp, I'm not surprised you're a Slayer fan. It was Anthrax were the first band. I didn't think I'd ever be into Anthrax, but they were quite good. And then Lamb of God. Basically what happened was, right, here's a wee story. We'll basically tell you about, when I was 13 years old, my auntie's boyfriend took me down to Liverpool to say he was going to visit his auntie. And they got me right outside the Liverpool Stadium, Anfield, and there was crowds going around. And I was going, is there a game on the day? He says, it's the reserves. But they got closer. He gave me the scarf, says, we're going to see Liverpool play. And I was like, fucking hell, this is amazing. So when my son was wanting to come to Scotland from Turkey, he was saying, oh, Dad, Slayer are playing. Slayer, get me back to Scotland in time to see Slayer. So in all the kind of excitement of coming back to Scotland, they'd kind of forgotten about it. So I did actually book a few days before the Slayer concert, so we're here 4 or 5 days, and I told my stepdad to come to the table and say, can you deliver a parcel to Glasgow for us at the dinner table, so it was kind of set up. I got my son right outside the Hydro. I've got it on camera, actually. You can watch it on my website. I think the blog's on my website, and basically, it's funny you mentioned Rage Against the Machine there. I'll come back to that one. So, yeah, I got him right outside, and I got on the camera saying, you're not going to deliver a parcel, you're going to see Slayer. And he's like, what? So it was good to actually do the same thing back to my son. And I wasn't really into this kind of music, but Anthrax were pretty good, but we're sitting right up the gods, and he was like, Dad, I want to be down the front. And the Hydro, didn't like the Hydro very much. It's too much of a big barn, kind of devoid of atmosphere. But anyway, So up in the gods, and I was quite happy to sit up there and just watch the show, but he wanted to go down the front, so we basically blagged our way, kind of, past the security. And for Lamb of God, I thought Lamb of God were absolutely brilliant band, but I'm not too sure about this music. The music goes, oh, the singer, I mean, wow. Apparently that's an art form these days. So, yeah, that's right. So some people say David Bowie died and the world turned to shit, but you're going on Slayer stopped touring, because that was their last tour. That's why my son was so desperate to see them, yeah. And actually, the guitarist from Slayer, his dad got ill not long after we'd seen them in Glasgow, so he missed quite a large part of the tour, and I had to bring somebody in to replace him. I'm not sure what happened to his father in the end, but anyway, so that was that. So yeah, Slayer, again, not my kind of music per se. I wouldn't play them in the house, but I quite enjoyed the gig, even though it was like satanic fucking symbolism coming at you left, right, and centre. Again, I've got some video clips of that on my website, so check that out. Billy Watson TV. I've already advertised it. In fact, let me just change this, because nobody's taken my sample book. So if you go to my website, I've started to post stuff on there. All my comedy scripts on there. So anyway, so let's do this. My website. Aye. So anyway, rock and roll. Yeah, you mentioned Rage Against the Machine. Well, basically, there's a lady, a neighbour of mine in Turkey. She's a Dutch lady, and she, on Instagram, she does these stories on Instagram, and she was at the beach yesterday, and she played the song, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, and she was like head banging. She's got long hair like this, and said, it's good to be weird. And I was like, yeah. So I said, yay for that one. And the next song she played was Massive Attack. And not long after Slayer, Massive Attack were playing in the Hydro as well. And I was desperate to see them, because that would have been a brilliant concert. In fact, I've seen, YouTube clips of the tour, and it looked amazing. But basically, I didn't have enough cash, It was like 40 quid, and I was completely skint. So that killed that in. But yeah, rock and roll, remember those days? It used to be cool. So now they've got the solution. One person from each group. They're going to have these platforms, right? And only one person from each of the platforms are going to be able to go to the toilet at once. It's going to be so rock and roll, isn't it? Oh, yes. Let's check out what this artist impression of that's going to be like. I mean, really? Is this the kind of world that we're after? Let's go to gigs and stand on our platforms and watch the subs. What subs is that? Anyway. So yeah, we're going to go to gigs and stand on a platform and watch that. And also they're trying to do comedy gigs, aren't they? And everyone's sitting in their car, and there's a comedian on like a van truck thing. It'll be so brilliant. The future, like, I can hardly wait. I'm so excited. It's incredible how this so-called virus, which is obviously a complete pile of shite, is just changing the world, isn't it? It's unbelievable. It's almost as if, they've got another agenda behind it, would you believe? Because it doesn't take much investigation to figure out that the virus is in fact, not what they're telling us. And it's actually torture, isn't it, when you try and tell these complete morons out there that, what does that mean, subs? I'm not sure what that means. You've got subtitles on me talking. Can you see subs on the thing? What does that mean? Yeah? So when I'm talking, you can hear, you're seeing the subtitles. How does it make out my Scottish accent? That's what I want to know. But apparently, Emma here is saying that you can turn them off, but I've no idea how to do that. So anyway, a friend of mine in Turkey, in fact, I met this girl, and I went out with her. She was like an architect, but an artist as well. So I met her one day, and then I said, "So come to the pub tonight." And I had a Canadian friend, and I said, "You come to the pub tonight." And then we got together, the three of us. Those two started talking, and they ended up getting married, basically. So I was the instigator behind that one. So she posted yesterday this message. I think I mentioned it on last night's thing. I showed you the clip of it, the screenshot saying, if you don't believe in the virus and don't believe in wearing a mask, then never go to a hospital again, because you obviously don't trust the system and our scientists, So this is what I showed her in the stream. Yeah, in the Facebook chat. I don't often comment on other people's walls and stuff, especially because I usually comment and the thing gets ended. But I posted this video. It's on my timeline as well. You want to check it out. Viruses don't cause disease. It's really good explanation into what a virus is. If you actually take the time to look at it, I know that requires effort from most people, but if you take the time to look at it and then further research, then you might have a different opinion to Boris Johnson telling you to mask up for no apparent reason, because nobody's ever seen this fucking virus going around. And the thing is, we don't need to be told these things. Imagine there was actually something coming out of people's noses and infecting other people, and people are dying. Quite naturally, we would all say, fucking hell, you talk to him, you've got a virus, let's quarantine you and isolate ourselves. We would do it without getting told by our lovely government to do it, wouldn't we? We're not fucking idiots. But nobody's actually seen, well, we'll say that, take that back. Some of us are not idiots. A lot of people are, because people are claiming that, I know somebody that caught it, but just because a doctor told you, somebody that had COVID when they were ill, doesn't mean to say that COVID was causing anything, does it? Hello, Sadio. By the way, you guys are coming here, I hope you're friending each other up, because we need to stick together in this day and age. So anyway, there were some other comments underneath this one, and then I basically ignored them. And this morning, you get this one. Sounds reasonable. You have a couple of YouTube videos we should believe over all the public health authorities in the world. Well, actually, in between this virus one, see, there's 8 more replies. I posted information that I was going to interview Don and David, who wrote the book about viruses, that explains in great detail how the doctors are lying to us. And I'm actually going to be interviewing, or we're doing a Q&A session on Friday, actually. So, yeah, I explained that and I gave links to that, but people don't actually take the time to look at the stuff you provide. Here's the stuff that I said. So, I'll hide this one. Yeah. So it's like, viruses are real. After I posted that thing, that YouTube video, I had swine flu years ago, 2 days in hospital. I'm like, viruses are real, but they're not contagious. I'm doing a Q&A, and then I posted the links to, their videos on YouTube, which are really, really detailed, and then not contagious, blah, blah, blah. And I just like, okay, whatever. I give up. Basically in the Bible, I don't mean to be rude to the girl, she's a friend, but most people are like this. You get tired of throwing pearls before swine, don't you? Because that's exactly what's going on. You can't educate these people, no matter how, and it's incredibly important, this. It's unbelievably important that it's something that could be proven. Imagine we all caught on to the truth. It doesn't take more than half an hour's actual, real investigation to discover something's up. Imagine like 5 million people in Scotland. 65 million in the UK might be a bit tough, but I'm trying to get the whole of Scotland to understand that this virus is not contagious, because no virus is contagious. It's actually beneficial to the body, and we would die without viruses and bacteria. And there's been experiments done where people sneeze all over each other and try and do all kinds of things to give someone a virus, and unless you inject it directly, you can't get a virus from someone else. Germ theory is, in fact, not proven, is a lie. Yeah. Also, there's unbelievably zero evidence that a vaccine has ever prevented any disease ever in the history of the world. And yet all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that vaccines actually work, and Bill Gates is blabbing on about a vaccine. Like, get the fuck, pal. You're talking pish is basically the bottom line, isn't it? And I don't understand why people can't simply take the time to look at the thing that's shutting their world down, putting signs up everywhere, making people scared to walk past each other in the fucking supermarket. Everyone's masked up like a complete fucking, retard, for want of a better word. But basically that's what's actually going on, And it gets a little bit irritating that the fact that there's more shit coming down the line, that basically, this is what's coming, Basically, we'll do some matrix analysis, yeah? This is what most people are like, isn't it? Obviously, the liberals in this world, oh, I'm offended. I'm offended. Well, I'm offended that fucking you're offended because I'm just using words and language, and if you take them wrong, that's your personal choice, isn't it? Life is about perception. We choose to be offended at what people say. I don't really get offended at what people say. Sometimes we get upset and not like it, but offended is, taking it a bit far. It's just words, and we give too much power to words. Far too much power. Actually, here's an example. I tried to explain one time. I was in an African restaurant doing a comedy gig, and I was trying to explain that. And there's no audience there. It was just comedians. So I didn't do my usual trying to make them laugh. I just kind of had a chat with them. And I was trying to explain that we give the words the power. Like, for instance, this is an African restaurant, remember? So there was a couple of African guys, comedians, and there was one African audience member. And I said that the word nigger basically is not a racist word. It's the intent behind it. They're trying to ban words, but it's the intent behind the word. Like, these rap stars and everything can be like nigger, nigger. In fact, Patti Smith has got a song, isn't it? Rock and roll nigger, 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 nigger. It's a fucking awesome song, but nobody gets offended at that. And yeah, it's the intent behind the word. So basically, I said that, and then all these comedians started debating this, and it just became a big debate about this word. And another comedian, a white guy, comes up to me, one of these probably BLM believers. That word's been deleted. It's been deleted, that word. I was like, you can't delete words, pal. It's their ego. It's their self-righteous fucking, retarded brains that didn't understand. They're not look deeper into anything. They just say, that word's bad. Oh, how can I use that? We can use any word anytime. But obviously, if you go up to someone and you're like being really nasty and offensive using any kind of word, like idiot, somebody can get upset with that. Just didn't be an arsehole when you're talking, So anyway, on that point, it's just, that's why being offended is a choice, ultimately, yeah? Steve Hughes, have you ever heard of him? He's an Australian comedian. A lot of people compare him to Bill Hicks and George Carlin as like being a modern day version of that. But he does a great piece on about being offended. It's like your own personal internal world. So you can't change how you are just to make someone else's world all right. You don't understand. You can't, please everybody all the time, can you? So get on with it. Yeah, it's actually, well, the black people, first of all, I hate that word as well. I explained that in that particular, it was actually in the African restaurant, but a different night. I said, how the Freemasons use the black and white all the time to divide us because they've got the chessboard, the black and white duality. But if you ask me, I said African, when I went to school and I pointed to one of the African, well, no, African, this is another thing, we'll come back to that. Pointed to one of the coloured people and I said, last time I went to school, that colour was brown. Not fucking black. That's black. I don't see too many people walking around like that colour, and there's white, and it's not exactly the same either. It's just the old black and white duality playing them against each other. We should start calling them brown people. I don't like that word, because it's like black is dark, isn't it, and white is the light, and it's just mind fucking with us once again. Alex, you talk about Alex Jones or Bill Hicks? Yeah, there's some theories going on in that one, but Alex Jones, I believe, is a shill. Again, a lot of these so-called truthers, they give 80%. First of all, when I first got into David Icke, then I got into Alex Jones because he's like a bottom level, get into your conspiracy theory stuff, But then he does things like goes on the Piers Morgan, who's obviously an utter cunt, show, and they have a pretend argument where Alex Jones goes mental, and he just makes conspiracy theorists look crazy, doesn't he, by his antics? But there's a lot of truth in there, but he'll never point the finger at certain groups, if you catch my drift, And that's what they do. They give you so much truth, but they miss out the important bit. So you just keep going round in a wee circle. You never actually get to any solutions, And I've heard of, there's actually a coloured person in America done some research about this, and I believe it's true, that actually America had naturally coloured people there. We call them Negros, okay? So they were there naturally. And this story of all these like 15 million slaves and everything coming from Africa, and all the time, that's all you get is these African Americans, to make them think that they're not native to the land. And a lot of people actually say that the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, the reason that they formed and basically were starting to hang black people and whatever, or brown people, it's kind of embedded into us, this kind of thinking. They say that they were doing that because they were getting quite strong in business. They were quite good businessmen when capitalism started. And basically the white guys were jealous. So that was the way to kind of stop them being prosperous. And that's probably why they've tried to keep them down ever since, because they wanted all the good shekels for themselves, Yeah, what's this? Filipinos. Is your partner, Barry, is Filipino, yeah? Bleach will whiten their skin. Yeah, again, these cultures are kind of trained to think that white people are the best. I think that, see, this is another thing. We get taught these days that we're all one. It's all one consciousness. That's why we need a one world government. We all love each other. And there's so many songs about one, isn't there? And that's a big, massive psyop, getting us all to think like that. And you can't talk about differences. Like even men and women, we say are the same, but they're not. They're actually different, not just physically, but emotionally. The brains, like a woman's brain's more connected, so they can they're more emotional. Where men have got their hemispheres of the brain are more separate, so we kind of have compartments for things and more logical thinking, and women are more emotional thinking. Now, men, there's nothing wrong with us getting in touch with our emotions and stuff like that, and there's nothing wrong with women being a little bit more logic, and getting them out there and fixing your engine in your car and stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying? There's differences, yeah, but we're not allowed to say that because we're all the same now. And the same goes for the races. The races are different. Like, why are so many athletes and so many boxers basically coloured people, because their genetic makeup is different. And it's provably so. Their muscles can be different and all kinds of things, And then Asian people can be different. So there's nothing wrong with that. We can celebrate our differences and, use the. It all comes down to the individual at the time, because actually groups themselves are not really a thing. We can talk about these. We use language, and actually language can kind of confuse us a little bit. If you talk about Scotland or Scottish people and stuff, we get a general idea because we have to use some kind of communication, but sometimes that gets lost in the fact that we are just individual people with our own individual strengths and stuff. Like if we talk about, say, for instance, the bankers or the Hollywood people, we say, oh, that's, that group of people you're not allowed to criticise. And then people think, oh, you hate all people from that particular group. But actually, no, there's very specific people and individuals who you can actually name, who maybe pretend to be something else, but they actually go back to this particular group and they worship, the Kabbalah and stuff like that. And, you know what I'm talking about, aye? So it's not being racist and things like this to point out these things, but they want to make it that way so that we don't talk about it. And that's why racism, in my opinion, is getting highlighted all the time. So none of us can actually stop and say, hold on a minute, what about those guys, And it's not just those particular guys. Everyone's involved in it. There's a bigger picture, and we have to talk more in detail, not just have emotional reactions to stuff that we're very much programmed as a people, to have emotional reactions to things. So if you say something, it pushes someone's button and poof, an instant reaction comes back, because we're not meditating and stuff like that. I found meditation quite useful for actually, before somebody would say something, you might have a reaction, but with the meditation, it creates a little gap in because you realize that you're not your thoughts. Because a lot of people just think that wee voice inside them, the ego mind talking, they think that is actually them. But they don't realize when you meditate and stuff, you see your thoughts and then they drift away and other thoughts come and other thoughts go, and you realise, actually, I'm the consciousness that's looking at the thoughts, and I don't have to grasp onto every thought and act on it. There's some things I can, just let go by, and then another thought will come, and you're much more peaceful that way and in control. It's called emotional intelligence. That's another thing that people don't have, So anyway, not all sheep are white. Yep, I posted something on Facebook, said black sheep matter. Yeah, huge psyop since our indoctrination in school. Yeah, again, I mentioned yesterday about how the trivium used to get taught in schools. You go back to books of the early 1900s, and the trivium, how to think, was in there, and that's been provably removed from the school books, so that instead of finishing school at 12 after learning the trivium and taught how to think, they keep us there until we're like 16 at the minimum, and just teach you what to think. So by the time you get to that age, you're completely just, a give in. Fucking, what do I need to think to pass your stupid exams to get on in life? Are you looking at me right now? I'm on there. Because it looks like I've got 0 views. I've got 0 on left because I started talking about... Is there anyone out there? It looks like all the viewers have left. That's what happens. Oh, Sadio's still there. Thanks, anyway. Yeah, bad people versus good people. Basically, a guy who I posted on the Facebook wall, Stephen Kelly, he says it's not good and bad. It's like service to self or service to others, and we should all be more in service to others. And that would be a much better world, wouldn't it? Yeah. The monkey mind on my shoulder. Yep. So you guys have actually took the time to investigate, not only the world, actually yourselves, have some internal reflection, which is most important. That's what a lot of people don't do. We're always trained to look outside ourselves all the time, aren't we? And it's never... Oh, God, my TV keeps going up. We're always trained to look outside ourselves instead of, looking internally. So that's the world we live in. So anyway, the blue pill, yeah, a lot of people just want to take the blue pill. And then some of us have looked a bit deeper into life and... Oh, shit, what happened? I was going to put up the red pill. Did I just delete that? I think I did. Let me get that one back up. So then there's the red pill in the Matrix analogy. This one. Yep. So, like you guys there, I'm listening. You take the red pill, you wake from the illusion, yeah? And once you dig deeper, you go past your Alex Jones and stuff, you get to the paedophiles, the satanic cabal, which obviously Trump is apparently taken down. And you say, oh, QAnon's coming to save us all, yeah? What other movies do you think may let out elements of the truth? I think that's the whole point of movies. See, in the past, we used to have congregations in the church, and that's where like public announcements would get made, yeah? Now, people don't go to church these days, but a lot of people go to cinemas. So it's like the cinema is like a congregation. So a lot of these movies are actually public announcements to let us know what's happening. Again, so that the people making these movies and stuff, they feel like their karma is getting taken care of and, won't come back to them because they're making the announcement. But no one out there is taking the time to look deeper into these things. There's so many movies you watch these days, all these like superhero movies. I don't watch them particularly, but so many movies. It's very rare to find a movie that doesn't have some kind of hidden meaning in it, even subtly. But there's a great movie. If you want a recommendation for a movie, I would recommend one called Occult Forces. If you can't find it, I've actually got a copy on my hard drive. That goes into actually a guy who's in the Freemasons made it, and then he got murdered a few years after it was made. It was quite amazing it was made, but that is quite a good expose of world politics and how it actually operates. Another one was Brotherhood of the Bell, That's another one that goes into the Freemasons, because they tell us, don't they? They've got to tell us. It's part of mockery as well. They're actually laughing at us quite a lot. They just treat us as cattle, the Munsters Inc. Yeah, that's got loads of it in it. When the kids go to sleep at night and stuff. Yeah. Another one I watched recently was Ants. There's some quite good little clips in that where what were they called? Was it dragonflies? Was it dragonflies? Aye. Was it dragonflies? Anyway, the bad insects. Grasshoppers, that was it, aye. The grasshoppers, they're talking about if you let one ant kind of rebel and stand up, then the other ones might get the idea to do that as well, so they've got to be crushed down. And there's a couple of good bits on that just basically tell you outright what their plan is, I watched one last night about demonic entities living in a similar time dilation. Well, when I was back in the day, I used to do night shifts. I used to work in a chemical factory, and at night there was this really thin bench in the locker room. We used to sleep in it, and quite often I would get sleep paralysis, and basically it was quite freaky. If you've ever been asleep in your own body, then you wake up and you can't move. You're like, what the fuck's going on? And my son recently mentioned to me that he's had it a couple of times, and then I've seen something on Facebook that it's actually spiritual entities trying to get into your body when sleep paralysis is happening. And because, again, this is something else that we're not taught to think about, that these demonic entities are in fact real. There's some great movies that are on Vimeo. It's a pay-per-view. I've bought them all, so maybe if you send me an email I might send you the link. It cost me $45. It was $15 each. But there's a movie called Higher Entities, and then Hollow Earth, and what was the other one? Can you remember? No. Anyway, there's the same company that makes them, and they talk about how Aleister Crowley and then his disciple Jack Parsons, who was friends with Ron L. Hubbard, who basically Ron L. Hubbard founded Scientology, and Jack Parsons was behind the Jet Propulsion labs that was founded, and they'd done satanic rituals to open up a dimension, and hundreds of demons basically piled through. And yeah, I've not seen Dark Tapes, so I'll have to have a look for that one. It's good that you're recommending movies, by the way. Odd Thomas, I've not heard of that one. So yeah, this demonic. This is what the evil is. These demonic entities are getting a foothold in this reality, and we, through our drinking, our drug taking, and various other things that we do, we kind of lower our consciousness and kind of invite these beings in, because we're not kind of protecting ourselves from them. We don't realize that they're there just because we can't see them, basically, it doesn't mean to say they're not real. And here is the green pill. I don't know if you've heard of the green pill, yeah? But this is what I found. Oh, fuck, I've done it again. I'll try and get the green pill up. I keep on shit, I'm doing the wrong one. This is what I think, because the QAnon and Trump thing is all about taking down the deep state. And I looked at it, and now I don't particularly think that's going to happen. As basically, what are they going to replace the deep state with? They don't talk about that much. But this is what is actually happening. It's like AI and 5G, I think, is what's going to happen. This Nasara Jasara could be like a one world currency, and they're basically wanting to get the AI technology so that basically they can control our brain, and so that if we ever think something, like think angry thoughts or something like that, it can just be nullified. So it'll be like a bit like Brave New World, where all the gammas are happy and all the people are happy in their wee world. They're all brought up to do a specific task in society, and it's like a happy world. Like they're taking their soma to kind of pacify them, And yeah, so I think that's the danger. This is what's happening, and this is a critical move by these guys, right? They've came out with this pandemic thing, which is so obvious it's not true, but they're just kind of hoping that through their indoctrination that they've set up for many years, through all the programming and through the forces of the media, which are unbelievably complicit in all this, that they're just going to ram it as fast as they can to get us all with that vaccine and whatever's in that and the microchip and into the new system as quickly as possible. And probably the atmosphere can change and all kinds of shit, but they'll be at the top of the tree. Hello, am I back? Can you hear me? Hello, testing, testing. Hello, testing. I should maybe talk. No, still can't hear me. Hello, hello. This isn't very good, is it? 1, 2, testing, testing. That's unbelievable, yeah? Yeah? Ah, I'm back. That's good. I was saying that maybe they didn't like my green pill explanation, you know? I was actually talking to Don Lester on the system, who's wrote the book about the vaccines and the virus and stuff. And even us just having a 15-minute chat, it was incredible the interference we were getting. So hopefully it won't be like that when we talk to her and David on Friday. That's good, guys. Thanks that you're back. Yeah, the conspiracy theorists, yeah. So, what can I say? Yeah, so on Friday, I'm going to get Dawn and David on, yeah? So I've put the link to the show on the thing so you can invite people to that, and then after we do the talk, try and get people to watch this. But, you know, it's an uphill battle, isn't it? It's incredibly frustrating. I'm sure you guys are feeling it too. To deal with the Muppets out there, eh? Let me just hide this one. It's like, remember we're all locked down. This was classic, wasn't it? We're all locked down in our houses, and then what was it? George Floyd kind of incident happened. Now that's got many things about it that don't ring true if you actually look into that, you know. And actually, I've seen some clips where it looks like it was a mannequin, and yeah, there's so much things about that proves it's another just lie, because they do lie about things. It's incredible, like Sandy Hook and all the other things that are just obvious bullshit. But as long as it's on the news, people take it as the truth, and they're just told what to be outraged by, what to think, what to do. They're just waiting to be told the next thing. There's actually zero, you know, consciousness going on, if you look at me. I think it was staged. I mean, for instance, there's a picture of the video of him out from behind, you know, on the street, and he like had more hair. And then if you look at the picture of him down on the street of the car, he's got practically no hair. And you wonder, like, for 8 minutes they were down there, and people were just walking past because I think it was a mannequin. And if you look at the video very closely, right at the last millisecond of it, before it clips off, it looks like it's got no legs. And there's actually models like that you can see on for sale on the internet. So yeah, and it's also the way he was leaning on him, the way he had his hand in the pocket, the hidden hand of Freemasonry, because they talk to each other in the language, don't they? They display it, so it's like, we're in the know, guys, They've got that symbol as well. They do that one quite a lot. There's a brilliant example of this. You should watch it. I mentioned Sage of Quay. He talks about Paul McCartney kind of being replaced in the Beatles quite a lot. So there's a 4-hour documentary he does that kind of proves beyond question, if you ask me, that the Beatles didn't write any of their own music up until when William Shepherd, aka the second Paul McCartney, joined, and he did write Sgt. Pepper, but even then, after then in the White Album, it still had lots of different writers involved in the Beatles project, yeah? But he does this clip where George Martin is kind of getting interviewed by a classically trained composer, a guy that knows his stuff musically, and he's sitting at the piano and says, isn't it amazing how these 4 guys could write such brilliant music, And there's some songs, and he said it's got this cadence, this type of choral chord structure that's high level musicianship. And he played an example of Blackbird sitting in the dead of night or whatever, and then he showed another example, and it was just like too much information, because it was obvious there's no way that these 4 guys from Liverpool could write that kind of stuff. It was just way too advanced for them. So George Martin's like, fuck, I'm in the spotlight, this camera's on, and this guy's asking me these questions. So he's just like that, it's like that, please, this is my symbol, It's like that for about a minute. And then he just says, oh, it wasn't me, it was just, it was John and Paul, they were just so brilliant, And it's obviously utter bullshit. And it's worth watching that, because when you watch the 4 hours of it, you're under no doubt whatsoever that there's even clips of John Lennon in the studio saying, I feel so useless at these recording things, And I think that's why lots of interviews after in their solo careers and stuff and appear on TV, they were kind of dismissive of the Beatles, or they said lots of strange things, because they were just a boy band. Yeah, Aleister Crowley, he was obviously on their album cover, yeah? And in fact, Paul McCartney, or should I say William Shepherd, Billy Shears, whatever name he goes by, he apparently was the son, or at least was brought up very close to Aleister Crowley, and he was taught about, how the Beatles had all the reverse masking and stuff in the music. That's interesting, Mo. I've not been Facebook banned yet, but I'm sure it must be coming soon. But so he was taught about the power of speaking backwards and all this kind of stuff by Aleister Crowley, and writing backwards. So he's a high-level Freemason just now. And there's a particular clip, isn't there, of William Shepherd on the David Letterman show, where he basically says, you were the Letterman says, oh, you were replaced by a double. That was the idea. And Paul McCartney says, oh, well, this is him. And there's basically a reveal that, again, they're just mocking you. The same as like Jim Carrey. Remember he done that? The Illuminati, the all-seeing tongue. They're basically laughing at you. And remember, the tongue like that, the Rolling Stones symbol is the tongue out. That's like a demonic symbol as well. Because they had the good guys and the bad guys, they play it against each other. There's so much stuff with the Beatles. I don't know if you're saying wow. Oh, you're saying wow to Steve Magner's, 6 bands in 2 months. Yeah. There's a guy, Stephen Kelly, who I interviewed. He's he had several temporary bands, but he was basically being kicked off Facebook for good now. He was quite heavy in his last few weeks on Facebook. He was basically saying Trump's a pedo, and lots of the QAnon fans and stuff weren't liking that, so he's been taken down. But Truth Cat Radio, check out that on YouTube. That guy knows his stuff quite a lot. There's a 2017 talk that he's done where he talks about the Getty. I want you to understand the importance of the Getty Museum and what's under there, because that is a highly critical point. I asked him, the last interview I had with him, where do you think the Queen is? And she says, under the ghetto, the Getty. In the ghetto was Elvis. And yeah, so, and Prince Harry, he moved to just a couple of miles from the Getty. So there's some serious stuff to be investigated with that we need to look into, because that's where all the control operation of all this agenda and shit comes from, basically. So here's another thing that's quite frustrating for you. It's a simple thing, but people can't seem to grasp this one, can they? The old condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. Because when people tell me something, like, again, I didn't like politics, I don't trust any of them, but when this idea of Trump and QAnon came, I was like, okay, well, let's look at it. So I did look at it, and I was kind of waiting for it. Can you see me? So anyway, and then, so you investigate things, any new information on the table, to see if it kind of holds up with what you know. And I don't actually 100% believe anything. I just keep ideas in my mind. Well, that could be true, that could be true, you know. And belief has the word lie in it, you know. I've disappeared. I'm going to switch myself off and come back again. Okay, hold on. Hello. Am I back, folks? The old Gremlins are starting to play up. Let's see. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Am I out there? We are struggling on with this one. I'm just saying, testing, testing. Can you see me? Let me know, folks. Not yet. What's up? Yeah. Huh. It's not showing me. Can you hear me? Yeah? Still. Well, what's going on? Yeah. I'll try again, folks. I'll try again. Hold on. Let's see. The camera. That's unbelievable. Switch off. Hello. I'm back again. 1 2 1 2. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Pics, no sound or visuals. Terrible. Can you see 2 pics now? Aye. Shocking. Oh, I'm back, yeah? I'm back. Yeah. So you can hear me now? Still can't see me. Ha. I don't know who Sean Atwood is. I see another conspiracy thing. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll just talk to you for 5-10 minutes. Otherwise, we'll not get anything done, So anyway, this is what society is like. You know, so many problems going on in the world, and this imaginary coronavirus is taking all of our attention. But there's so many other things. When I came back from Turkey, I can't believe this. It's quite annoying. When I came back from Turkey, I couldn't believe thanks Barry, I appreciate that. When I came back from Turkey, I couldn't believe the amount of homeless people that were on the streets. It was incredible. Walking around Glasgow from when I left like 12 years ago. Nicola can see and hear me. That's good. And a lot of people don't give money to the homeless, do they? They say, oh, it's all the Romanians or these people that don't actually need the money, they're just begging, But I do actually think there's a big problem in society, and we're not caring for each other as we should be, because we're all in this monetary system. And you've got, there's like something like 4 million of basically people have starved to death this year, but Bill Gates isn't too interested in feeding them. He's interested in saving us all through vaccine while depopulating the earth. Somehow makes sense. I don't know. Okay, send me some Sean Atwood. I've not heard of him. So I don't know. I've kind of been thrown off my flow with all this stuff. You can. So yeah, we've shared some good movies today. What else can we share? Let's do this one. The old child trafficking. Trump is, blabbering on about this, but I think it's like managing the narrative, Then you've got the race riots, and everyone's sitting back just now, just waiting for the deep tunnels to be, the military. Let the military go in there and get the children out of the tunnels. But, people are going back to work pretending that nothing is going wrong in the world. But there's hundreds of shit going wrong. Guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up because, I'm just kind of lost my flow. But that's a bit annoying, isn't it? The old Gremlins coming into play. But tomorrow night, there's a guy called Craig Campbell. Basically, I've seen his Facebook posts, and if you want to friend him up, Craig Allen Campbell, or follow him, he is very much, holds nothing back when he's talking about this virus and stuff like that. And I quite like the cut of his jib. So I friended him, and then he kind of liked a couple of my posts that I was shared. So I said, do you want to come on shooting the shit? And he's up for it. And then I watched a couple of his videos on YouTube today. He's been on the Russell Howard show and Live at the Pole and stuff like that. So he's quite a successful comedian, much more successful than I ever was. But I was going maybe too hardcore into the truth. If you go into my website, billywatson.tv, you go to the comedy section, there's some videos of me there, and I'm going to start posting all the gigs I've done and just put all my shit online for anyone that's interested. I wish I had somebody who knew about SEO, because I've got tons of YouTube videos and I can't do that stuff. My brain doesn't allow me to get, it's too boring to do the keywords and all that kind of thing. So I don't get found anywhere. But maybe doing this will give me some people interested. It's not really for me and my ego to be hugely famous. The reason I was doing all this is to try and get a platform to kind of talk about these things, because we all have to inspire each other and help each other to kind of wake up the so-called sheeple, and it's more vital than ever, and it's actually quite urgent when we've got, in Scotland, first of all, we've got these people. I mean, how the hell can people trust the BBC? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous when they've got this outside their studio, their building, and it was sculpted by a paedophile, and it's obviously quite fucking a man there with a young boy that's naked. It's absolutely disgusting. And obviously the BBC have basically had Jimmy Savile and all the rest of them for years. Again, if you go to Billy Watson TV, you go to the comedy section and you go to the, what's it called? It's not, there's a roundabout conspiracy theories, and then there's one, the Tangent Point, it might be called, where I basically talk about television license fee and how we shouldn't pay our TV license fee. And yeah, basically nobody should be watching BBC altogether, and how these guys have got the gall to come on and pontificate to us about how we should be living is ridiculous, and how people listen to it. They should have been shut down as soon as the Jimmy Savile thing became public. You know what I mean? But anyway, we've got a platform this Friday. Yeah, that'd be cool to actually meet up with people in person, because it's not easy, folks, sitting here for an hour and ramble and pish, you can. So it's always better to do things in person, but we're not allowed to do that now, are we? Oh no, because we might spread our germs on each other, or so we're told. But as I said, it's absolute pish. So I'm going to do this chat with David and Don. Hopefully there's no Gremlins, but I'm sure there will be, Friday 3 o'clock. And as soon as that finished, I'm hightailing it up to Dundee to meet up with Stephen and Mark, and I think who else is going to be there? What do we call him? Paul. What did you call himself? I forget. What's Bam Poet? Yeah. Yeah, so I basically had to get a new TV because I smashed my old one, and I told my mother I needed to get one. She lent me some money, and she's like, "Oh, you got a new TV? Do you have a TV license?" No, I don't play that game. I keep getting letters from them, to the occupier. You get threatening letters. They're going to come in 10 days. You're going to fucking get fined this much. And I just fucking toss them to the side. And if they ever knock on my door and say, "I'll not be giving any money to any fucking paedophiles," you just can fuck off. You know what I mean? No, Chris Miles. I like his poems. He's pretty cool. Yeah, Paul Cather, the Bam Poet. And I think Lucy's going to be there as well. And I'm going to have Lucy on the show. Oh, Rana's coming as well. That's cool. Lucy's going to come on maybe Saturday night. She's talks about vaccines a lot. So I've never met her, so it'll be good to meet up with her. Should be a good wee night. Looking forward to it. And Emma's delighted, because we used to go to gigs and that quite a lot. We used to have a social life before the lockdown, and now she's sick of looking at the back of my head. So it'd be good to get outside, folks, and talk to some like-minded people. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this. It's a good wee social interaction thing. As I said, anyone wants to come on anytime, you're more than welcome. I might cut you off if you're talking too much shite, but anyway, it's good to have somewhere to chat. Let's hope there's less Gremlins the next time. I've done my hour. I can relax easy. Looking forward to meeting up with you. Thanks very much for listening. Pity you couldn't see my ugly mush for the last 10 minutes, but I'm sure you've seen enough of it. Anyway, cheers on now, folks. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.